So the object here is to win.
No dough, no show.
Sounds to me like you guys are a couple of bookies.
Show me the money.
Welcome back to Beyond the Odds. I'm your host Shane, also known as the Arbologist on X, joined as always by my two boys, Nick and Nick, the Arb Father and the Arb Thief, two goats in the game. Boys, I am having an incredible March. Profits are way up. How you boys doing this month? What the hell's going on?
This month's been huge, bro, between March Madness starting and some higher limits on some of these books. Overall, I opened up a couple new fresh P2s myself and grabbed some sign-up bonuses. So I'm cooking as well at like 13 grand or something like that for arbitrage and bonus profit so far.
Yeah, March has been crazy. I'm going to be so sad when March Madness is over and college basketball is officially done, but we have baseball starting soon, so some more income will be coming.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see baseball this year, like we mentioned in the past episodes with some of these new exchange books, some of the sweepstakes platforms coming online, like what that brings to the game.
3 more days. We'll find out very soon.
3 days, baby. All right, well, let's waste not, want not. Let's get right to the first segment. We have some new ones this week, and this one's called the No Book Playbook.
I have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
In this segment, we're going to talk about edge betting in limited market states such as Florida, California, Texas. And we really just want to talk to you guys about how to profit in these limited market states, right? What are your profit expectations and how to best get started? And I kind of want to lean on my boy AT on this one because if you didn't know, he's a master trainer in a lot of these subjects. He has training at least a few times a week on X, free to the public, a free stream. You should be joining that stuff, whether you're new to the game or whether your feet are firmly planted. It's always good to go back to those fundamentals. So without further ado, let's let AT chime in on this.
Yeah, so if you're in a state like California, Texas, Florida, a lot of people think they can't arbitrage bet or they can't EV bet. And that is very far from the truth. And I think the issue is a lot of people don't even know that some of these books even exist that they can use for arbitrage or EV betting. So a couple examples, you have your sweepstake books or your sportsbook exchanges where you can bet just like any other sports book. So you have Fliff, you have Rebet, you have Sportsino, Onyx Odds. Those are your typical sweepstake books. And then you have sportsbook exchanges like Novig and ProfitX. These are all legal in over 40 or more states. So that's one part of the arbitrage betting or EV betting in those types of states. But it doesn't stop there. You also have your offshore books. So you have your Bovada, Bet Online, MyBookie, Bet US, a lot of offshore books which are reputable that have been around for over 10 years in the game. You can trust them. You'll be able to withdraw your money and get your money out. So again, just because you're in a state like Florida, Texas, California, you can still make plenty of money from arbitrage betting or EV betting. A lot of those books I just mentioned don't even limit. So you can make a ton of money in those states. And I see a lot of people on Twitter with a lot of success working from those states. So definitely don't count it out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like there are definitely some people, and this is what I do to some of the questions that I get on X about it, is I will steer to these folks who are in these states and profiting, right? They're the ones that are actually on boots on the ground, like earning in these states. So I lean on them for what's worked for them. I mean, we know the basics. If we were in those states, we would profit as well. But they're kind of showing you where the market's at. Like when we talk about what are your expectations for profits? Well, those guys are the standard because they're doing it in the state.
I agree. And I definitely think a lot of those books are primarily the books that we use, right? Especially for pregame. Like pretty much the sweepstakes and the exchanges and the offshores are the elite books for pregame. They're a little bit tougher to use live, right? So the expectations there might be set a little bit lower, but for pregame, these are going to be, 90% of the books that I use every day.
Yeah. A few of my friends just started arbitrage betting a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned books like your Fliff and Novig and ProfitX. They had no idea what I was talking about. So many people don't even know that these books exist.
Fliff is so amazing. I have nothing but joy for that thing. So yeah, when we talk about how you should get started in these limited states, what recommendations do you guys have?
I think number one, right, is just like research. I think, we get a million questions, right? Like, hey, what books are available for me? And just, Google a simple thing. What books are allowed in, I don't even know, Arkansas, Ohio, Kansas, well, wherever you are, whatever, just, you just got to do a quick Google search and usually it'll pop up real quick and let you know what books are available there. And these exchanges and sweepstakes should be popping up, right? And then once they are, just get on there and start dabbling.
Now, once you sign up for these books too, they usually have a new user promotion that you can take advantage of, convert to free cash. So you really get free money just for signing up for a lot of these books. So definitely take advantage of those.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And one thing you guys in these limited markets should do is just understand your market. You're going to see some folks like ourselves, other folks, pushing a lot of profit, and just understanding that it's not a comparison game. You can't look at someone who's in a more regulated market and say, he's earning that much. Just understand it. It's not a FOMO thing. It's not a feel bad thing. You need to work within the market that exists for you and do the best you can in that market and accept those limits. And I thought something we'd do is give a little shout out to some of these guys in some of these states who we talked about, researching some of these guys, talking to the guys who are in these states and earning. And so we're going to mention a few. Here's a few from Florida. One's name is Eric at EK33Bets in Florida. And also, and I'm going to butcher this name, buddy. You can contact me and tell me how to say it. But we're calling it Huisode at WHOISODE. He's also in Florida. We're going to talk about a guy in Texas, and he's at Joan Sticky, and one in Wisconsin, Aaron, and that's Ronnie Next Level. We all know Ronnie Next Level. He's so motivational, dude. I fucking love that guy. And Danny at DTOR Bets 21. He's a California native. So there's some guys to reach out to and really do some research in those states. Ask them what books they're using, what type of bets, how long they've been in the game, what their profit margins are. They're your boots on the ground, so to speak, in those states. Let's get right to our next segment, the Book of the Week.
I am in a rush. Got to make the bookies.
This week's Book of the Week is FanDuel. It is by far my favorite book of all time. Basically just because when you do get limited, it's still so profitable. There's so many more bonuses to this book, right? Reasons why you keep it around, reasons why it will always be profitable. So let's talk about it, boys. What you got?
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you already said it, but once they limit you to about 10% of what a max bet would be. With FanDuel, that means you can still get down $100, $200, maybe over $1,000 on the money line. So they're definitely the GOAT book. You can still get down so much money, even with limits. That's what makes it my favorite.
Yeah, that's great, AT. And as you've mentioned many times before, it's once you get limited, you're no longer feared of placing these pre-match arbitrage bets, right? So you can just go nuts on pretty much any market that seems viable to you for as much as you can get in.
Yeah, I think that book's literally like the perfect storm, right? It's the perfect balance between being able to get down good money, but still having a lot of value on that book, right? I think AT did mention it, right? That, when you are limited, it's only that 10% limit, right? And they're really hardly ever going to limit you much more than that. I think my personal P1 FanDuel is up $50,000 and I'm still on those 10% limits. So, you're definitely able to keep firing on that book for a very long time and being able to profit.
Well, another really good tip, and this is something I've recently used in this crazy month of March, is that your P1s don't go away. When you insert a P2 FanDuel and you're hitting higher limits, there's no reason you can't reinsert more money to the market because those limits are so good on that P1. Don't stop using it.
Yeah, and one thing that people don't really talk about that much with FanDuel is they are always making mistakes with their lines. I see so many alerts with FanDuel where they're the book that is off from the market. You hammer the FanDuel side, and then you'll see FanDuel drop to be in line with the rest of the market. So they are always making mistakes that we can take advantage of as bettors.
They're definitely one of the best books to target for like openers too, right? Like overnight stuff. I used to work an overnight job when I first started doing this. And I remember, like AT said, getting a million notifications and checking it on my break at, 3:00 in the morning in my car, whether I was betting on like, overnight hockey for the next day or overnight baseball lines for the next day. They're definitely one of the best books to take advantage of for openers.
So many good things about this book. One is definitely it's a one-click book, so to speak. So it's one of those books when you click on it through the OddsJam platform, your ticket is going to be produced right there. All you have to do is insert your bet amount, check the other hedge and go to work, which the efficiency is off the charts. So it makes it very usable for live.
Yeah, and definitely another pro of FanDuel too is going to be like, their withdrawals. They might not be as fast as say like a DraftKings, ESPN, or an MGM where you might get paid literally within like, an hour or two, but usually takes no more than half a day, which is much faster than most books on the market. And then another thing that, I just recently started doing, like that at the end of last month was using the Edge Boost card, which I think you guys also started doing, right? And I been seeing crazy traction on this card on Twitter. But basically what it is, right, is just a debit card that you get cash back for using it. I think it's up to 0.5% cash back. So pretty much every $1,000 that you throw in, you're going to make $5 in cash back. So you throw in $5,000 a day like a lot of us do, right? That's a free $25 a day that you're making for literally just depositing. If you do that every single day for the month, say there's 30 days in the month, right? That's a free $750 a month for just depositing, right? So, if you're an odds jam, that's literally going to cover your platinum subscription plus, put some money in your pocket, and just give you a good head start.
Yeah, that's such a bonus because, I mean, like I said, we're using FanDuel so much, so we're pushing a good amount of capital through that book. And if you're cycling daily, if you're withdrawing and then just pushing that money right when it hits your Edge Boost right back into FanDuel, like you said, that's just free money.
Yeah, I made over $1,000 last month just from Edge Boost, and it's not FanDuel or not just FanDuel that you can use. You can do it with DraftKings, MGM, whatever books you're using. Withdraw to Edge Boost at the end of the day. Once those withdrawals go through, redeposit in the morning. You're making some free money every day just from depositing and withdrawing.
That's all great info. There is no doubt that FanDuel is our favorite book. I'd say the consensus number one book in our game is going to be FanDuel for many of those reasons we just listed. Let's get right into our next segment, and it's also a new segment for this week, and it's called Market Watch.
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
This new segment is going to be sort of a current events info news piece for us, so it's going to give us a chance to talk about topics a little off books, a little off edge betting, just something about the space in general. And so we have two topics for this week. The first one's going to be the gambling Twitter landscape. What do you boys think?
I mean, I think the landscape is pretty divided, right? There's like multiple sides of gambling Twitter, right? There's the sharp gambling Twitter community that's probably filled with, winning bettors that are like, say, OddsJam users or just very professional bettors that have been doing this for a while. Not going to lie, the content on our side can be a little bit more dry, right? We're not really too flashy. Most winning sports bettors aren't really flashy. They're more concentrated on, getting money down than, what you'll see on the other side, right? Then on the other side, it's going to be, I guess, the influencer side, we could probably say, right? Like sports betting influencer side, or I don't even know, touts or whatever you want to call them, right? But these guys are the guys that are flashing girls and cars and suites and money and all this flashy stuff, right? And they're focused primarily on, selling something, right? Whether that's a Discord or their Dub Club package or something like that. Not so much winning on sports betting.
Yeah, I agree with that. You see it a lot, and you see a lot of followings and posts and so much traction from some of these influencers, some of these cappers. And I think you just really got to do your own research and look out for what the reality of what they're pushing is. A lot of the times you're not seeing results. You're just seeing exactly that, $100,000 stacked on their table while they talk about something.
I usually stay out of that business, but seeing that on Twitter drives me crazy when you have these influencers that are selling their picks. And fine, if you're a great bettor, you want to sell your picks, go ahead. I have no problem with that. But if you refuse to show a picket which tracks your results, it's a clear sign that you're not actually a profitable bettor. So it makes me crazy when people actually think these bettors are really good and going to make them some money, when in reality they won't even show their results.
All right, I wasn't going to bring this up, but have you guys watched the Elf Spaces at all?
Of course. Yeah. Some of it's pretty cringy with, the hate that gets tossed around, and occasionally there's some entertainment value in there, but yeah, I've seen
How
it.
about you, AT?
Yeah, it's been taken off. Shout out to Elf.
No, I was going to say Elf's a friggin' goat. He's a good dude. I like what he's doing, but man, some of these people that he fucking has on here, dude, it's like you said, Shane, it's freaking cringy, right? And I like how there's two sides of that too, right? Like you have Elf kind of playing like the mediator, then you have these, tout scammers trying to promote themselves, and then you have people kind of like us, that are kind of like calling these guys out on their bullshit, right? And they're just going back and forth, and it's pretty obvious to see for the most part if you have some brain cells, like, if this guy's an actual winner or not. And most times you can tell within like the first minute that they're talking that they're definitely not a winner.
Yeah, they spend most of their time calling each other out. So it's more of just a cringy battle of like, who can fuck over the next guy the most.
Yeah, it's like
Definitely.
the Jerry Springer of gambling buddies.
For real.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. This has definitely been a thing way before Elf Spaces, obviously, like all these guys, promoting this shit. I remember back in like my peak days of, I guess, DGen betting. I really wasn't like a DGen better, but, maybe 5, 6 years ago and stuff, like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I had bought picks and packages before off multiple people, right? Because, I mean, they got me. I'm a, whatever, 21, 22-year-old kid at the time, and I see all the stacks of money, cars, and flashy stuff, and I'm like, shit, dude, this guy's making so much money sports betting. Let me just follow this guy's plays for $99 a month, right? And you just quickly kind of see, like, these guys are full of it, right? You start, if they're not on a hot streak, right? They start losing. These guys start throwing around like slang words, like, hey, play of the day, play of the week, play of the year. We have a whale play, like all this friggin' crazy stuff, right? And they're telling you to risk all these units, and they're not even showing bet slips, or I don't know. It's just absolutely crazy. And I think and hope, people get smarter on Twitter, I guess I could say, especially with like the help of us and other sharper people trying to put out good, content to teach people. But I just kind of feel bad for a lot of the people that, fall for a lot of these scams.
Yeah, it's not hard when I mean, it is the draw of all the flash, right? All the money, what seems to be an easy ticket to, to winning. I mean, how do we spot these guys, right? How are some of the ways? It's like we all know that if you're a winning bettor at a sports book, especially for the numbers that some of these guys tout, you are going to get limited. You're not going to be able to put down $100,000 at a book if you've won $10 million from them. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's what it is, right? Like either they don't show a bet ticket, or if they do, it's a $5,000, $10,000 bet ticket from Fanatics, which we all know will limit you in literally a week if you're a winning bettor, if not sooner. They're not putting prices on their plays, right? They're just telling you to take the Boston Celtics tonight because it's a fucking guaranteed lock and you cannot lose, right? But they're not saying that, the Celtics are only good to minus 150. They're not good to minus 250, right? So people are just betting this at random friggin' prices, right? So it's just, the math just doesn't math, right? It doesn't add up.
They're not telling you to take it on Bet365 because it's 30 cents lower than the rest of the market.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the other telltale sign of someone that isn't a profitable bettor, I said it already, but I'll say it again. If you're profitable and you have a picket that shows green and you're up thousands and thousands of dollars, that is something that is automatically tracked, why wouldn't you show that off? I love showing off my picket when it's all green. So if these guys aren't showing their picket, chances are they're not a profitable bettor.
Yeah, AT, you make a good point. It's like, if you can prove this stuff, there's no reason that we wouldn't respect that, right? We're not here to say that all cappers are bad, or, there's not somebody out there selling picks that can be profitable for you. We're telling you to do your research. And so what are some of you guys' thoughts on ethical ways to do that, right? What's a good way to sell your stuff and to prove that you're doing this on a basis that's going to be profitable for someone else?
Show the picket. I'll say it a third time. Show the picket. Show me you are profitable and I will follow you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think, you gotta just follow people that, you think are winners based on, what they're showing, whether that's their results or their plays, and just kind of, how they're talking about their plays. Are they telling you to take the Celtics tonight because it's a lock, or are they telling you to take the Celtics, like Shane said, because they're 30 cents cheaper on this book compared to the Sharps, right? Like just little things like this, like more detail on the play, right? Like even a small little write-up about why it's good might be a lot better than just a vague, hey, follow this, you cannot lose, right? That, and then just doing like your own tracking too, right? Like, yeah, we want to, go off these guys like tracking, but I guess tracking could probably be altered on something. So if you're going to tail somebody, make sure you track yourself, right? Because you never know, they might try to forge their results, and at least you'll have like your own validation, right? That these plays are winning, and this might be somebody or some system that you want to, continue to bet yourself.
Yeah, I think that goes for any style of betting. Even if you're sticking to straight edge betting, like you 100% have to be tracking your bets. This is one of the major rules, right, of being a profitable bettor is tracking your bets. The roles and responsibility of individuals in this game, right? We talked about doing your homework, tracking bets. You're the one that's deciding where your money goes. All we're trying to do is to warn you, especially about some of these influencers and cappers, that the results they need to be proven, right? And if someone can't do that when you ask for it, it's probably best. My advice would be to steer clear.
So yeah, I think the difference between us and your typical capper that is selling picks is we're not going to give you picks. We're going to teach you how to make picks yourself. And I think that's like the whole purpose of my training, is the whole purpose of this podcast is to teach you how to do it yourself so that you don't have to rely on anybody else. You become a profitable bettor by learning how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Other success, and I say this all the time in my posts, motivates me to no end. Almost as much, and I cannot lie, of my own profits. Seeing others get started, helping them get started, watching them grow in the space, it's part of why I do it. One more tip I want to give, and we'll wrap it up on this conversation is, let's give some tips to help people find some of these, positive EV strategies. Like, what are our words to entice someone to look into what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of goes off what we just said too, right? But like how a lot of these guys try to shill picks, right, is usually based off emotion or just kind of no strategy at all, right? They're kind of throwing darts and they're not backing it up at all. And what we do, right, is just purely based off of math and data, right? We're just looking and relying pretty much on the market, right? That's what we're doing. We're not looking at, hey, the Celtics won their last 9 games, because in reality, that has no influence if they're going to win that 10th game, right? It all comes down to math, odds, data, stuff like that. So yeah, we're just really trying to gain an edge and just get, cheaper prices at sports books or boosted payouts at certain sports books compared to the market or sharp books, and just trying to use that information, right, to gain an edge over pretty much anything else, right? We're definitely trusting and relying on, certain sports books to kind of do the hard lifting for us, and, we're just kind of jumping on the steam there.
Yeah, really gaining an understanding for the market and how this positive EV strategy works, how arbitrage betting works. I mean, it's truly math and data. I'm a huge sports fan. Will always be a huge sports fan, right? I've feelings for teams and loves winnings and losing, as much as the next guy. But I've lost that appetite for it in gambling. After being in this space long enough and after earning the profits that I have, I could care less about who wins or loses when my money's involved. Still care about a team, still a fan, but once you're on this side long enough, I think you kind of, understand the difference between the two, not betting with your gut.
I think you made it when you bet like against your favorite team, right? That's how you made the switch to like, the winning side if you're willing to bet against like your hometown team.
It's a hard pill to swallow, and my friends are going to fucking give me shit, but yeah, of course I've done it. Are you nuts? Yeah, it's money. Well, let's get into the next topic we're going to talk about in this segment. And some news recently came to light about some states looking to ban sweepstakes books. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we discovered and sort of where we think this might go.
Yeah, so this one actually hits a little bit close to home. So a bill was passed in New York on Tuesday, I believe it was March 18th, to ban sweepstakes gaming from New York State. So that includes books like Fliff, 3Bet, NoVig, ProfitX, Onyx Odds, all books that I use heavily for my arbitrage betting. So definitely not something I want to hear. Just because it's been passed within New York State doesn't mean it's official yet. It still has to go to the Senate for a vote. And I'm not sure the legislation and what goes on there, but it's not official just yet. But the scary part is that other states are looking to pass this motion as well. So states like Maryland, New Jersey, Connecticut, Mississippi, other states where I'm sure these books are heavily used, we might not be able to use them going forward. So definitely something scary, but how are you guys feeling about it being in states that haven't really passed that bill yet?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit offline before the show as we discovered this news, and it was, we're kind of unsure of the timeline. We don't expect anything to happen rapidly, right? This is legislation in these states, and so we don't know the timeline, but I don't think it's going to be in time really soon. So definitely enjoy it while you got it, and these guys are going to fight back, is our assumption too. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to hit home, though. You're right. Like this is a big part, and it may go state by state and have a trickle down effect on who it, impacts the most and at what timeline. But books like Fliff, I mean, I already said it earlier in the show, fucking amazing value. So if that were to go away, it's definitely going to sting. And to those limited market stake, it's going to be a crusher.
Some books have actually been pretty proactive in already stopping use within those states where the bill was passed. So, for example, I got an email from Rebet a couple of days ago saying that I will no longer be able to use Rebet. I think it's after April 1st. So they're moving pretty quickly to stop gaming in the states where the bill was passed. So hopefully the other books don't move as fast, but it's definitely a scary thought that I might lose some of those books.
Stay tough, Virginia.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. I'm not going to lie. Um, but like you guys said, I think they're gonna fight back, right? They have to. And as of now, right, they are technically legal, right? They're legal, not sports books, but they're legal sweepstakes, and whatever umbrella that they fall under is technically legal, and there's got to be some type of further loophole that they'll be able to pull and hopefully use this in court and just drag it out, right? Drag it out years and years, who knows, right? But I do think once a state or two falls, then it could be that domino effect.
Yeah, one of the interesting facts that I read in one of the write-ups was that in a lot of these states that are looking to ban these sweepstake books have bills in the process that would legalize online casino operating. So you see the conflict between legal casinos that want to start an on-game business, online business, conflicting with a current sweepstakes model.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up, right? How coincidental that is.
Yeah.
It definitely shows you that there's some heavy influence behind some of these
These
groups.
lawmakers are going to support the legalized online ones and then shut down the sweepstake platforms. It's
Yeah.
yeah,
Something that just came on the market too within like the last month, and I'm not a big poker guy. I mean, I definitely have dabbled in it a little bit, but like that whole poker boom and Chris Moneymaker boom was before my time. Um, Actually, Shane, you're a little bit, older than me.
I was in
Did
it.
you dabble in any poker or no?
Oh, it's huge.
Are we
Absolutely.
Really?
shaming now?
Yeah. No, it was absolutely huge, and it was a lot
Okay.
of fun too. I wasn't, betting any substantial amounts of money or anything, but yeah, it
Okay.
was, weekend poker nights and online poker. I definitely spent, a few $100s here and there on a weekend online poker before that shit got shut down. But
I was
yeah,
gonna say because I know that all got shut down. I don't know however long it was, but something that came on the market right within the last month or so. There's obviously WPT, right, like World Poker Tour. This is like huge, events and stuff that go on. But these guys actually opened up a sweepstakes poker site within the last month or so. It's available in 46 states. I'm on their Twitter right now. It says online poker's back in America. Sweepstakes available in 46 states. Void where prohibited. Free to play. Yada yada yada. They got like 8,000 followers. They have a bunch of poker pros like touting and stuff like that. I see Phil Ivey, Rampage Poker, all these big name guys on here. So the only thing that kind of gives me hope too, right, is like I don't know if a big named company would put their reputation and stuff on the line or spend all this money for advertising and stuff like that, right? Without knowing like, hey, I think we're safe, right? Like, or we
yeah,
have some type of, I don't know, some type of information that we've gotten from, ex-lawyers and whatever that this is going to be a thing going forward and, we're comfortable investing this money. So that gives me a little bit of hope. I know it's not sports, but it falls under that same kind of sweepstakes category.
yeah, it does. That's interesting the way that they're trying to bring it back to market with that sweepstakes platform. I mean, it's either that they have some inside knowledge or understanding that this thing could be profitable for them, or it's very bad timing. One of the two. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a home
Well,
run or a strikeout. So.
yeah. Well, you guys know where our, hopes lie in that these books are very profitable for us, and especially for our homeboys and homegirls in limited market states. I mean, this by all rights would ruin your opportunity, or
Yeah.
limit it severely.
Yeah, one thing I've learned over the last year is that as you lose books, and we've all lost our domestic books because they've gotten limited so bad, but one thing I've learned is you have to adapt. You have to add new books as you possibly lose books. So if we lose these sweepstake books, we'll definitely add some more offshores and still find a way to be profitable. So if we do lose those, not the end of the world. We will find a way to adapt and still make money.
100% we're going to be transparent with how we adjust. So if anything, just look for some information from guys who are doing it on a daily basis, right? Follow what's working for them, and then make your own decisions on what your best way forward.
Last tip or trick that I would probably say too, I don't have any experience doing this, but I talked to a ton of people on Twitter, and they've definitely mentioned that they do this, and it works for now at least. I don't know much about VPNs, but since this probably will be a state-by-state based kind of thing, right? There's potential, right, that VPNs would work on some of these sites. I don't know. Obviously, do your own due diligence. You don't want to lose any funds in the process getting locked on these sites or anything like that. But there definitely is a good chunk of people that do it now, and it works. And I haven't heard of any issues. So, if New York gets whatever banned, Massachusetts gets banned, but it's still allowed in, New Hampshire, then that's a, possibility and a route that you might be able to take.
Yeah, look into it. Absolutely. Like he said, do your own homework. But if that's something that's going to keep your sweeps in play, then, definitely.
Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, we'll try to update you on that as we find out more news, but we thought that was a good talking point because of how useful these books are to so many of us out there. So look for more in the future. And we'll get into our last segment here, and that's the mailbag.
I got mail! Yay! I got mail! Yay!
All right, our first question in this week's mailbag comes from Nathan. And Nathan says, with the time and effort that you guys put into the game, how many P2 accounts have you guys gone through so far?
I want to say not as many as people probably think, right? I've been doing this for basically 2 years now. Next month it'll be 2 years. Not as many as people would think. And then maybe other people think this number is crazy, but I've probably been through on most of the domestic sites, not like FanDuel and stuff, but some of the smaller ones. I've had at least like 3 accounts on most of them, maybe 4 on some very small ones that hit you in a week or two, just to get the promos and have fresh limits for a couple weeks and run through them. But most of the sweepstakes and offshores rarely haven't even had P2s on a lot of these, or maybe I'm just on like a second account. But I think as you'll hear probably from AT, there's definitely a lot of money to be made on your P1 still, right? Huge advocate for getting P2s and getting these fresh limits and, really taking advantage of busy times of the year like NBA and college basketball. But yeah, I mean, I definitely haven't had as many as people think, but if you ask me this question next year, it'll probably be double that.
Yeah, I think with the speed of the way that limits are coming, the fact that you started a little bit before most of us, I would think a lot of those P1s, stuck around a little bit longer than they would today. Just the way that the books are kind of recognizing this and how quickly limits are coming compared to maybe 2 years ago.
100%. 100%. I think my latest couple accounts, not to cut you off, have been more in the last, 6 months or so, right?
Yeah.
That first year, to be honest, it was mostly all P1s. And then this second year that I've been on, especially in the last 6 months or so, seeing the market adapt a lot quicker. That's kind of when I've really been rolling out these accounts.
Yeah, I've only been in since October, and on some of these main domestic books, I'm already on like P3s. But like you said, a lot of the other ones, Fliff and some other ones, they're not really in the game of limiting unless you make a mistake or you earn too much money. So I haven't reached that threshold yet. So, it really depends on what books you're utilizing and for what purpose. But, I'm probably reaching AF levels on some books and then on other ones still on P1. So, but I would say on average, somewhere between P3 and P4 on the majority of these domestic books that kind of limit quick.
Yeah, I've only gone through one set of P2 accounts. Might go for P3 when NBA or NFL starts back up. But I've really made it work with my P1s for the most part. It was nice having the P2s for a little while. I made some nice money from deposit bonuses and the fresh limits for, a month and a half. But definitely not a requirement to make money. But like AF said, definitely it's easier having P2s, but not a requirement.
I mean, for the bonuses alone, right? Especially, during the dog days of summer, if you're looking to keep profits up, that's not a bad move. It's just to cycle through some P2 accounts and get the bonuses, even if you're not going to actively use those over the summer and just drop a few here and there, some EV bets or something like that to keep them active. But, always a good way to keep up profits. All right, our next question comes from Michael. And he says, I'd like to hear about your experiences using offshore books. And we get this a lot, right? Folks are really questionable or concerned about putting their money into offshore with the crypto and everything like that. But he asks, do you find it easy to make withdrawals and basically convince me as a skeptic that these books are okay?
Yeah, I mean, to me, offshores are hardly any different than most of these domestics, right? Obviously, in the eyes of the law, they're completely different, but a lot of these offshores have been around much longer than, Fanatics, MGM, and all these big companies, right? A lot of these offshores have actually been around for 10, 20 years and have great reputations, right? If you're talking like a bookmaker, a bet online, I trust these guys, 100%. There's other ones, Bovada, MyBookie, Jazz, BetUS, and I'm probably Bet 105, I'm probably missing a few more, but, I've had nothing but good experiences with these books. Little bit different deposit methods, right? You can't just use like your PayPal. You could use your card, but you're probably going to get, charge international fees and pay 5-7% fees on your card. It's really not worth it. But I just use crypto, and usually it sends within 10-20 minutes and a little bit of fees, but it's nothing close to your card. And then same thing when I withdraw, I just use crypto and deal with a little bit of fees, but usually get paid off that same day.
Yeah, crypto's the way to go for sure. And I get a lot of people asking that question, like, how do you buy and move your crypto? And, there's a bunch of different ways you do it. I personally use PayPal. It's just easy, right? You can buy it right from there and send it right from there. A lot of people are using other wallets, Coinbase, stuff like that. But what about you, AT? How do you get your money into these offshores?
Yeah, I use crypto as well, and I love all the offshore books. I think one of the most important things before you deposit into an offshore is just do your research. Make sure it's a reputable book that you can trust. If you're not sure, reach out to us. We'll let you know our experience with it. But there are definitely some shady offshores where maybe you won't be able to cash out, but that's definitely the minority, right? I would still do your research, see what you can find out about the book before you make your initial deposit.
Yeah, let us know. If you have a specific question, we're going to tell you what we've experienced that works. Because we're in the same game. When we're diving into a book, if you don't think we're asking each other if they've tried it before, you're nuts. None of us are putting our money into something that we haven't done a little bit of research on. So do the same. Let us know. And like AT said, a lot of these books have been around since I think when I last looked, some of the mid 80s, right? Am I mistaken on that? So their longevity is, and their reputation is better than some of the domestic books here.
Yeah, 100%. And then even, like a book that most people know, like Pinnacle, right? They actually started as like an offshore book before, they became legalized, and I think in whatever the early 2000s, and went to Canada and Europe and stuff like that, right? They were an offshore book, I'm pretty sure, since like the 80s and 90s. And then, they went the legal route eventually once it got shut down, to a certain extent for them. But yeah, some of these guys have been around for a very long time.
Bottom line is it is an obvious evolution point in your edge betting game. When you do add them, once your bankroll supports it, right? I don't think it's something that you want to necessarily start out in. You should use the easier to access, the more easy to move money around. Especially getting started, depending, with a lower bankroll, you're going to need quicker access to your money, and you're not going to find that in offshores. So when it supports, your game, so to speak, or how you're trying to earn your money, 100% you should be implementing these things because they are very profitable. All right, that's it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. As always, great information. We love talking to you guys. We love talking amongst ourselves. It's so much fun. But what do you guys think about the show, man? How'd it go?
Yeah, I like this episode. It was a little bit different than our prior episodes, talked about some of what's going on with gambling Twitter. But what I'm really excited about is in 3 days we have MLB. I know we're going to talk a lot about that in the next episode.
100%. I'm super excited for MLB Thursday. As you guys know, I am in the Seva Discord that you get free access to with an OddsJam subscription. I plan on, putting a ton of my personal plays in there for MLB this season. So if you have OddsJam subscription, make sure you guys join that Discord and put on your notifications, because I'm definitely going to pump out a bunch of volume in there and also on Twitter. But I agree. I think, next week we should definitely, talk about how our first few days went with this season, and maybe, provide some insight on how we're doing and what we're looking for, and, just talk about baseball.
That is a great idea. We didn't officially even talk about that, but yeah, baseball with it being fresh, that's something to talk about next week, because the questions are already rolling in, like what do you guys do during the summer? So let's see if we can find some examples. And if you guys don't know, AF's track record for positive EV on baseball is legit. So I will be digging into his mind as much as humanly possible over the next week or two, and seeing what we can pull off. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Don't forget to send all questions and topic ideas. DM us on X at BTO_podcast, or send an email to beyondtheoddscast@gmail.com, and we'll talk to you next time.